Hello, we are nursing students from McGill University's Ingraham School of Nursing. This video was created by us as an introduction to clinical trials and what they may mean for you. Here's a quick disclaimer.
According to the Canadian Institutes of Health Research, or CIHR, the funding agency for health research in Canada, a clinical trial is a research study involving human participants that evaluates the safety and/or effects of one or more interventions on health outcomes. An intervention can be a drug or a treatment, for example. Participants of clinical trials are volunteers, and depending on the clinical trial phase they enroll in, they contribute to a specific goal in health research. Clinical trials are done to assess the efficacy and the safety of an intervention before it is released on the general market. They can be done anywhere, including in hospitals, clinics, or the community. Refer to the clinical trials information to know where the clinical trial takes place and other important details. Here is a helpful infographic from CIHR illustrating the 4 phases of clinical trials. According to Health Canada, Phase 1 aims to establish the safety of the intervention in healthy volunteers. Phase 2 is there to assess the efficacy of the intervention in the target population, to figure out the right dose and find side effects. Phase 3 is also there to assess the efficacy of the intervention, but this time in a larger group of people before the intervention is placed on the market. Phase 4 occurs after the intervention has reached the general population, and it is there to keep monitoring it and gather long-term data.
How or where can I find a clinical trial? Clinicaltrials.gov is a website where you can learn about clinical trials. You can enter your condition, disease, intervention, treatment, or other terms. You do not need to write down all those 3 boxes. Then you enter your location by city, state, or country. Finally, you can select on either all studies, recruiting, or not yet recruiting studies. When you click on a study, it will describe the study overview about the background, detailed description, conditions, intervention, and treatment. You'll be able to find the contact number and email of the person conducting the study, the location, and the eligibility criteria to see if you fit the description of the clinical trial to be able to participate. You can also see the study plan that includes how it is designed and what it's measuring. You can find the sponsors, collaborators, and investigators that are involved in the study. Another way to find a clinical trial is through Health Canada's Clinical Trials database. Health Canada, via its Clinical Trials database, offers the public access to specific information about Phase 1, 2, and 3 clinical trials involving patients. To make the most of the database and the available data, patients and family members are encouraged to explore additional resources, such as publicly accessible registries, to gather further details on trial objectives and patient eligibility. Health Canada does not provide detailed sponsor contact information or any other trials-related details beyond what is available in the database. Sponsor contact information can be found through internet searches.
Participating in a clinical trial. Who to contact if you have questions. The contact person mentioned in the consent form is usually the clinical investigator, which is the primary physician. You can also contact the Independent Ethics Committee or Review Board as they are mandated to ensure patients' rights. Bringing up clinical trials to your healthcare team. Step 1. Preparation. Look up information about clinical trials related to your specific condition and bring documents to provide to your physician. Step 2. Ask questions. Ask your doctor about the trial's design, risks and benefits, treatment groups, and about their opinion regarding your specific condition.
Here are some examples of questions you might want to ask before agreeing to the clinical trial. What is the purpose of the trial? Can it help patients live longer or feel better? What are the possible risks and benefits of this trial? How do they compare to the risks and benefits of standard treatment? How will this trial affect my daily life? What kind of tests or treatments does it include? How often will I have to come to the hospital or clinic? Who can I talk to if I have questions during or after the trial? All clinical trials require the participants' informed consent before beginning. But what does informed consent actually mean? First, the information about the study must be provided to the participant in plain language that they will easily understand. Consent must be documented, usually in a form, and the form should be in the language patients are most comfortable with. Participants should have enough time to fully consider the information and ask questions before agreeing to the clinical trial. Participants are free to withdraw from the research project at any time for any reason or no reason. Participants should not suffer any consequences or disadvantages from doing so, including losing your financial compensation from the study, if there is any. Importantly, consent is an ongoing process. If any changes are made to the study or any new information comes to light, it must be disclosed to participants and consent must be reobtained. Parents can enroll their children in clinical trials if the trials are in the best interest of the children. Children who gain maturity during the study must give their consent to continuing the study. Consent must be given for the data collected to be used in further research, other than a study they consented to.
What if I stop participating? Participation in a trial is voluntary and you can withdraw from the trial at any time without penalty, as stated in the consent form.
As a participant in a clinical trial, you should be informed of the trial results once the study concludes. You can ask the study doctor or the team how to access this information when the study is finished. Sponsors are expected to provide the summary results of their Health Canada authorized clinical trials to the same registry where their clinical trial is registered. This can be, for example, on clinicaltrial.gov or ISRCTN. There's also the Canadian Cancer Trials, which is a Canadian-based registry for cancer trials. And there's also the search portal provided by the World Health Organization, which can be used to access a more central database.
Here's a recap of the resources we've mentioned so far. Government of Canada in the Clinical Trials and Drug Safety section, clinicaltrials.gov, Health Canada's Clinical Trials database, as well as the Canadian Institutes of Health Research in the section What are Clinical Trials?